Across city corners and suburban intersections, in train stations, business districts, and quiet neighborhoods, one storefront appears again and again. Its bright colors are unmistakable, its purpose universally understood. 7-Eleven is not just a convenience store, it is a symbol of modern retail. Fast, accessible, and always open when everything else is closed. For millions, it's a routine stop. A morning coffee grabbed in seconds, a late-night snack picked up on the way home, a place where forgetting the milk doesn't mean changing your plans. It's there, just where you need it to be. Its very name suggests availability, a shorthand for reliability in a busy world. Some locations blend in with their surroundings. Others stand out, sleek, modern, and futuristic, especially in cities like Tokyo or Seoul, where 7-Eleven stores offer gourmet meals, charging stations, even banking services. These are not just stores. They are micro centers of urban life. In places like Bangkok, Singapore, and Taipei, the brand carries an identity of its own, woven into daily habits and cultural rhythms. Yet, despite its global familiarity, few pause to consider how it came to be. Fewer still know who started it all. The origin of 7-Eleven, the thinking behind its hours, its name, its business model, is often taken for granted. Like the store itself, it just seems to appear exactly where it's needed without explanation. This chapter opens with a simple question, not what 7-Eleven sells, but where it came from. Who saw the future of convenience before the rest of the world? And how did a small local business turn into a global brand recognized across more than 20 countries? The story of 7-Eleven begins not in a boardroom or on a tech platform, but beside a block of ice, in a time when refrigeration was rare and necessity sparked invention. From a single storefront in Dallas to a worldwide network of convenience, the scale of 7-Eleven today defies its modest beginnings. What started as a local service offering milk and bread from an ice dock has evolved into one of the largest and most recognizable retail chains in the world. 7-Eleven operates more than 83,000 stores across over 20 countries. Japan alone, now home to the company's parent corporation, hosts over 21,000 locations, more than any other country. In Thailand, the number surpasses 13,000. In the United States, where it all began, thousands of stores still serve customers every day, many operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Its presence is not uniform. In some regions, 7-Eleven is a quick stop for soft drinks and snacks. In others, it's a hub for ready-made meals, utility payments, online package pickups, and even public restrooms and seating areas. The brand adapts not only to local markets, but to the daily rhythms of modern life, blending retail, service, and accessibility into a compact, repeatable format. The company is no longer American-owned. In 2005, Japan's 7&i Holdings Company, Limited, a major retail group, became its parent. Under the stewardship, 7-Eleven's global growth accelerated. Expansion moved strategically, focused on urban density, technological integration, and customer convenience across cultures. Today, 7-Eleven is not just a convenience store brand. It is a logistical machine. With sophisticated supply chains, real-time inventory systems, and localized product offerings, it functions as a seamless layer between consumer need and instant access. Its size is not merely in store count, but in how deeply embedded it has become in the daily habits of millions. This is the scale of 7-Eleven, global, flexible, and quietly omnipresent. Yet even with all its modern systems and international reach, the company's foundation remains remarkably close to its original purpose: to make everyday life just a little easier, one small transaction at a time. The story of 7-Eleven does not begin with a brand, a logo, or even a business plan. It begins with a man named Joe C. Thompson Sr., a Texas native whose practical thinking and willingness to serve his community would quietly set the stage for one of the most enduring business models in retail history. In the 1920s, Thompson worked for the Southland Ice Company, based in Dallas. At the time, ice was a necessity in every household, used to preserve food in the days before widespread refrigeration. Southland operated ice houses across the city, And Thompson, observant and grounded, began to notice a pattern. Customers were coming not just for ice, but for other essential items they needed at home. It was a simple insight, but one that few others acted on. Thompson saw that by offering basic groceries, milk, eggs, bread, alongside ice, the company could meet more needs with one visit. The idea was not revolutionary in scale, but it was in effect. People no longer had to make long trips to grocery stores for small, urgent items. They could get what they needed, quickly, from the ice house down the block. This innovation laid the groundwork for the first version of what would become 7-Eleven. It was Thompson's initiative and leadership that helped transform Southland Ice from a utility company into a retail pioneer. Under his direction, the company experimented with expanding its offerings, extending its hours, and opening more locations, always focused on one principle: convenience. Though Thompson never claimed the spotlight, and his name is absent from the storefronts that now span the globe, he is the undisputed founder of the 7-Eleven model. It was his ability to see beyond the function of ice delivery that created the foundation for a business that would one day operate on nearly every continent. Joe C. Thompson Sr. didn't set out to build a global empire. He simply responded to the needs of the people around him. And in doing so, he created something far bigger than he could have imagined. Long before he reshaped how the world shops, Joe C. Thompson Sr. was a young man growing up in the quiet, working-class environment of early 20th century Texas. Born in 1887, Thompson came of age in a period of American transition, a time when electricity was still spreading through towns and the automobile was just beginning to appear on dirt roads. The country was modernizing, but slowly, and most success stories still came not from invention, but from endurance. Details about Thompson's early life are sparse in the public record, but the values that shaped him were clear: hard work, practicality, and responsibility. He wasn't born into wealth or positioned for leadership. Like many young men of his time, he likely began working early, gaining experience through labor rather than formal education. It was this real-world exposure to logistics, supply, and customer service that would later define his business instincts. Education, in the academic sense, did not define Thompson's path. There is no record of Ivy League credentials or advanced business degrees. What he had was something different, the kind of intuitive intelligence that comes from paying attention to people, understanding needs, and seeing how small efficiencies could create large opportunities. His training came from observation, trial, and grit, qualities that would serve him better than theory in the uncharted terrain of modern retail. By the time he joined the Southland Ice Company, Thompson had already developed a strong reputation as a reliable and thoughtful leader. He didn't approach his work with the ambition of an empire builder. He approached it with the quiet confidence of someone who knew his community, someone who understood that the future belonged to those who made life easier for others. It was this practical mindset, rooted in a modest upbringing and sharpened by experience, that would carry Joe C. Thompson Sr. from managing ice deliveries to founding what would become the largest convenience store chain in the world. The early 1930s, these stores were renamed totem stores, a playful reference to customers toting their goods home. To reinforce the theme, some locations even installed totem poles out front, a visual cue to a new kind of retail experience. Thompson's leadership was central to the evolution. He formalized the approach, encouraging consistency across stores, experimenting with hours, and eventually extending opening times to early mornings and late evenings, an innovation unheard of in the retail world at the time. These new hours became so closely associated with the brand that in 1946, the company officially adopted the name 7-Eleven, reflecting its 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. schedule. What began as a practical add-on to an ice business had become a self-sustaining retail model. Thompson hadn't set out to start a convenience store revolution. He simply recognized what others overlooked, that people didn't just want access, they wanted easy access. And in building around that need, he laid the foundation for a business model that would soon outgrow Texas, outgrow the US, and reshape how people shopped around the world. No lasting business story is without struggle. For Joe C. Thompson Sr., The road from innovation to global expansion was interrupted more than once by hardship, both personal and organizational. The journey forward was rarely linear. It was shaped as much by crisis as by success. In the early years, the convenience store concept was still new and untested. The Great Depression of the 1930s hit small businesses across America hard, and Southland was not spared. Despite the popularity of its totem stores, economic conditions were unforgiving. Customers had less to spend, credit was tight. Yet Thompson and his team pressed on, keeping the model lean, adjusting operations, and keeping their focus on serving daily needs. Decades later, after World War II, and into the boom years of the American economy, the business expanded rapidly under Thompson's son, Joe C. Thompson Jr. The 7-Eleven brand took root nationally. Store hours extended further. Franchising grew, yet expansion brought risk, and with risk, new vulnerability. By the 1980s, the company had grown so large that it struggled to manage its own scale. Internal mismanagement, aggressive expansion, and mounting debt led to financial instability. In 1987, Southland Corporation filed for bankruptcy protection, a stunning fall for a brand that had become synonymous with accessibility in modern retail. It was a sobering moment. A company built on anticipating customer needs had failed to anticipate its own structural limits. Even more significant was the change in ownership. In the aftermath of the bankruptcy, Southland was rescued by a group of investors led by Ito Yokado, a Japanese retailer that had successfully adapted the 7-Eleven model in Japan with remarkable efficiency. The company was eventually acquired outright by Japan's 7&I Holdings, marking a shift in the brand's identity. From American innovation to Japanese management. It was a blow to national pride, but a lifeline to the business. Under new leadership, 7-Eleven was rebuilt with greater discipline, deeper market knowledge, and a global vision. Many of the innovations that now define the brand, high-tech supply chains, store-level autonomy, and integrated services, were developed during this new era. Throughout it all, the spirit of Thompson's original idea survived. Though the brand weathered financial collapse and a transfer of power, the core promise of everyday convenience, close to home, endured. The obstacles, as difficult as they were, forced reinvention, and in doing so, they ensured the company's survival. The story of 7-Eleven is not just the rise of a retail brand, it is a case study in observation, timing, and persistence. A reminder that innovation often begins with small, unglamorous steps. At its core, the 7-Eleven story teaches that the most successful businesses are rooted in a deep understanding of everyday needs. Joe C. Thompson Sr. did not chase trends or invent new technologies. He simply paid attention. He saw that customers wanted to save time. He recognized that convenience, not just product, was a commodity. And from that insight, he built something enduring. Another lesson lies in the power of adaptation. The company's survival through economic collapse, bankruptcy, and international transfer of ownership illustrates that longevity in business is not just about strength. It's about flexibility. 7-Eleven's ability to evolve, absorb lessons, and respond to shifting consumer behaviors is what allowed it to rebuild stronger after each crisis. Leadership also mattered. Thompson's approach was steady, modest, and customer-centered. He didn't seek the spotlight, but he made decisions with long-term trust in mind. His successors, especially in Japan, expanded on this foundation with precision and discipline, proving that strong systems can scale local insight into global relevance. Finally, the story reveals the strength of simplicity. The business didn't begin with a complex plan. It began with a question. What do people need right now? And how can we give it to them faster? That question still drives the company today. In every market, every location, every moment a customer walks through the door, the lesson is clear. The future belongs to those who notice what others overlook and who act on it before anyone else does. But noticing is only the first step. What follows is design, shaping a solution that is small, efficient, and repeatable. Thompson didn't try to replace grocery stores. He added a layer of speed and convenience where it was lacking. His business succeeded because it fit around existing habits, not because it tried to overhaul them. Scale comes next, not all at once, but through consistency. One well-run store becomes a model for another. Then 10 more. Then hundreds. Modern entrepreneurs can apply the same principles. Today, that model may not be a physical store. It may be a digital service, a mobile platform, or an automation tool, but the logic remains. Find a friction, solve it simply, deliver it consistently. Technology can accelerate this process, but it can't replace the initial insight. What people need hasn't changed as much as how they access it. A 21st century version of 7-Eleven may not sell milk and bread. It might deliver medicine, recharge a device, or provide access to information, but it will be born from the same place: service, speed, and trust. Creating a business like 7-Eleven isn't about copying its structure. It's about understanding its spirit and applying that spirit to today's world. It proves that with the right insight, even a small idea can become indispensable. And in a world that changes faster every day, that lesson remains. If you've made it this far, it means you're enjoying the story. If you're interested in more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a great story. This is Liam. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.